Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolute ultimate tactical playbook for mastering your salary negotiation and hopefully curing a bit of that financial anxiety. Look, if you've ever felt that knot in your stomach when the topic of compensation comes up, well, don't worry, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're going to break down the exact science of asking for what you're actually worth. Now, real quick before we get into the weeds, just a quick reminder. This explainer is strictly for educational purposes. Salary negotiation outcomes can vary wildly depending on your specific industry, the company, and your individual circumstances. So always make sure to use your own professional judgment when you're applying these strategies.
All right, I want you to take a look at this massive number, $1 to $1.5 million. Crazy, right? But I don't want you to think about that as some far-off retirement goal. That is the actual, literal cost of a single missing habit. That staggering amount is what you stand to lose over a 45-year career in cumulative lost earnings, retirement contributions, and missed equity gains if you fail to negotiate your starting salary. It's just the brutal math of compound raises. See, because every future raise, every bonus, and every retirement match is calculated as a percentage of your base salary. If that base is lower than it should be from day one, that gap silently compounds against you for your entire working life.
So what's actually going on here? Well, this perfectly illustrates the problem we're facing. Only 37% of people, just 37%, actually negotiate their salary consistently. The vast majority, a whopping 63%, simply accept the very first offer they're handed. And by doing that, they leave an average of $7,500 on the table right out of the gate. Why? Mostly it's because they're terrified of looking greedy, or they worry the offer is going to get pulled. But get this, 73% of employers say they are fully willing to negotiate an initial offer. Yet more than half of candidates never even ask. The door is literally wide open, but most folks are just too intimidated to walk through it.
To make absolutely sure you're in that winning minority who actually walks through the door, today's masterclass is broken down into 5 core pillars. We're going to cover market intelligence, the power of timing, exact scripting, managing pushback, and finally, the roadmap to yes.
Let's kick things off with pillar number 1, market intelligence, or knowing your true value.
You know, data shows about 29% of people skip negotiating simply because they literally have no idea what their actual market value even is. The foundation of a good negotiation isn't a gut feeling, it's objective data. To build your target range, you need a specific progression. Start with Glassdoor and LinkedIn salary for broad ranges. If you're in tech, go straight to levels.fii. It brilliantly breaks down base, bonus, and equity. Non-tech? Hit up the Bureau of Labor Statistics Handbook for authoritative median wages. And finally, network with your industry peers. Salary transparency is growing, right? But be strategic. Don't just ask, what do you make? Try something like, does a target range of $90,000 to $110,000 sound accurate for this level in our city? It lowers their defenses and gets you incredibly accurate data to build a strong floor and an ambitious ceiling. Now, you absolutely have to anchor your expectations in reality. And it's a stark one. Check this out. Changing jobs and negotiating can land you up to a 20% bump in pay. But staying put and waiting for that internal annual review, you're looking at a pretty meager 3.7% increase. Why such a massive gap? It's just corporate structure. Internal retention budgets are usually tightly capped by cost of living metrics. External acquisition budgets, though, they're highly competitive because they're designed to poach top talent. Knowing that gap is literally one of the most critical things for your career finance journey. You've got to use it to your advantage. Okay, moving right along to pillar number 2, the power of timing, and exactly when to make your ask. Listen, when you ask for money is honestly just as crucial as how much you're asking for. Timing can be the difference between a yes and a hard no. It's all about your leverage window. Before a written offer is in your hand, they're still evaluating you. Your power is super low. You do not want to negotiate here. But the exact second that offer is written and extended, boom, the dynamic flips. They've rejected the other candidates, they've spent time and money on you. Sunk cost is now your best friend. They are committed, creating your maximum leverage window. Always wait for the written offer. If they push you for a number early, just gently say you're focused on finding the right fit and ask what their budgeted range is.
Now for pillar number 3, exact scripting, also known as the ping-pong dialogue.
Honestly, this is probably what you've been waiting for. Let's get into the exact word-for-word scripts you're going to use so you never freeze up. Picture this scenario. You're on the phone, your heart's racing a bit, tension is high, and the hiring manager formally extends an offer. They say, we'd like to offer you $75,000. Now, for most folks, the instinct is to just blurt out, thank you so much, I accept, out of pure relief. But not you.
Instead, keeping a really calm, authoritative tone without apologizing or over-explaining, you're going to say exactly this. Thank you, I'm really excited about this role. However, based on my research into market rates and my experience bringing, and here you insert your specific result, I was expecting closer to $85,000. Is there flexibility there? See what you did? You stated your value, anchored higher at $85,000, asked an open-ended question, and then, and this is the absolute key, you zip it. Total silence. Let that silence do the heavy lifting. It's going to feel like an eternity, and yeah, it'll be awkward, but they have to be the next one to speak. Okay, but what if they come back and say, nope, base salary is absolutely locked? Don't panic. You immediately pivot to alternative concessions because all of these carry real, tangible dollar value. You can say, I understand the base is fixed. Can we bridge the gap with a one-time signing bonus? Or maybe ask if your review can be accelerated to 6 months. Ask for extra paid time off, remote work flexibility, or even a professional development budget. Concessions are literally everywhere if you just know to look for them. A fixed base does not mean the negotiation is over.
Next up is pillar number 4, managing pushback and reframing rejection.
We really need to talk about handling resistance. An incredible 57% of American workers express deep regret about their negotiations just because they folded the very second they heard the word no. But you've got to realize, pushback isn't a rejection. It's literally just the start of the negotiation. Treat it like a puzzle. If they say you're above budget, politely ask, can you share the budget range? It flips the burden of proof. If they say pay bands are super strict, suggest that one-time signing bonus. And if they pull the classic, we'll revisit this in your performance review, you absolutely must demand a documented timeline. Let's be real, a verbal promise without paperwork is basically worthless. Finally, we arrive at our last section, pillar number 5, the roadmap to yes. So what do you do when the answer is just a firm, immovable no? Sometimes the budget is truly frozen. Well, you turn that dead end into a roadmap with 3 steps. First, agree on clear 6-month performance milestones that will automatically trigger a salary adjustment. And don't just say, do a good job, get exact, quantifiable metrics. Second, create a paper trail. Shoot over an email summarizing everything so everyone is held accountable. And third, take a step back and evaluate your options. If your current employer consistently refuses to negotiate, remember that the external market will gladly pay you what your current employer won't. Changing jobs for a 20% bump isn't disloyalty, it's just financial responsibility. As we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a pretty provocative thought to chew on. Are you genuinely willing to pay $1 million, sacrificing your future wealth and delaying your retirement just to avoid 5 minutes of temporary discomfort? Because the math absolutely proves that this brief, slightly awkward conversation is the most profitable 5 minutes of your entire life. Prepare your data, know your number, and whatever you do, don't fold. If this explainer gave you the practical tools, the scripts, and the confidence to finally claim what you're actually worth in the market, definitely hit that like button right now. Share this with a colleague who really needs to hear it, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss our next explainer. Keep learning, keep negotiating, and we'll see you next time.